Hi everyone, welcome back to Bio Explained. So today I'm back with a second video. I know it's been a while, but today we're going to do a video on the second unit of GCSE AQA Biology, and it's going to be all about cell division. So that's chromosomes, mitosis, and the cell cycle. So let's get straight into it. So a lot of people find it confusing. What's a gene? What's DNA? What are chromosomes? What's the difference between all these things? So let me try quickly break it down for you. So everyone knows, as you've seen in my previous video, this is a cell. Inside a cell, we've got our nucleus. Inside our nucleus, we've got our genetic information. So this is our DNA. So DNA is a molecule just like protein, just like anything else. It's made up of smaller subunits. So a DNA subunit is called a nucleotide, but that's not really necessary for what you need to know at GCSE. It's just useful information. But anyway, we have our DNA molecule. Our DNA molecule is tightly wound up into these lovely thin, light, compact structures called chromosomes. So chromosomes have this interesting shape. They're very tightly wound, and this is very important because our DNA is so long, it needs to be able to fit into a compact space, and that's what our chromosomes are for. It's just a way of packaging our DNA. So now we know what that is. What is a gene? So a gene is part of our DNA. Imagine your DNA is really long, okay? Our DNA is in every single cell. So whether that's your skin cells, your heart cells, every single cell has the same copy of DNA inside it. But genes are part of your DNA, so they're specific. For example, you have a eye color gene, or a hair color gene, or something else, for example. They're very specific, and they code for specific proteins that show specifically on your body, for example. That's just a simplified version. So that's the difference between those three. So now let's talk about mitosis. So mitosis is just a way of duplicating a cell. So why would we need that? We need it for growth. We need to add more cells. If you're growing, you need to replicate all your cells. If you injure yourself, or if you have dead skin cells, they need to be replaced. So that's why you need mitosis, to just replicate all the cells that are being lost, because they're identical to the cell that's being replaced. Okay, so now let's break down what the cell cycle is. So every cell goes through the cell cycle, and at GCSE level, you need to know it in these three parts. So we've got interphase is number one, when it's growing and the DNA is duplicating, getting ready for mitosis when it splits into two identical cells. Then we've got mitosis itself, and then we've got cytokinesis, which some people include as part of mitosis, but it's just when the cell's splitting into two. So let's break down exactly what's happening in mitosis. So as you know, you've got your cell. Inside your cell, you've got your nucleus. Inside your nucleus, you've got your DNA tightly wound into these lovely little structures called chromosomes. You get one chromosome from your mum, one chromosome from your dad, and you have 23 of these chromosomes, or 23 pairs, I should say, in your body, in every single cell. So 23 pairs, one of each of those pairs will be from your mum, one of each of those pairs will be from your dad. So if we see here, red is maternal, blue is paternal. That's just a good way of representing it. So imagine there's actually 23 of these blue and red lines inside here, but for diagrammatic purposes, it's only 4. Anyway, first step is that our DNA is replicated. So as you can see here, the arms of the chromosomes have been doubled, and the DNA has been duplicated, it's been replicated, and the nuclear membrane breaks down. Okay? So once the nuclear membrane is broken down, the chromosomes line up along the center of the cell, and then they start separating. So each arm of the chromosome is actually called a chromatid, and they start separating to different sides of the cell, and they start pulling away from each other. And then this is the part where people call it cytokinesis, when it's separating into two separate cells. And then the nuclear membranes are reformed and you've got two genetically identical daughter cells that are produced. And notice how this cell and this cell look identical to this cell at the top. It's a direct duplicate, okay? So that's the main thing you need to understand with mitosis. It's not very complicated once you've understood those 3 steps. And just to make it a little bit more clear, what exactly is being duplicated, it's not just the chromosomes, it's also subcellular structures. So your ribosomes, your mitochondria. So everything in the cell is being duplicated so that each cell has everything the original cell had. That's all that's happening. And it's very important for growth and development of multicellular organisms. And to give some examples of where that would be happening, so discussed just growth in general, like getting taller, healing after a cut, so that's repair, embryo development, replacement of old cells, and even like asexual reproduction. So plants can undergo cloning, so they don't have a partner involved. It's just a singular plant cloning itself. Also bacteria does this. So bacteria and plants that undergo asexual reproduction. So those are some examples for you. If you've got any questions, please leave them down in the comments below if anything doesn't make sense. But hopefully that is just a whistle-stop tour. So overall we've covered the difference between genes, DNA and chromosomes, mitosis, why it's needed, and then the cell cycle. So hopefully that makes sense, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.